Hey y'all, it's your girl Me to Be Watching, and I wanted to do this video. Excuse my voice because I'm going through some type of allergy attack, and yeah, it's tis the season. Allergies are in the air, the cold, and everything, so I'm just trying to make it. But I'm going to have a couple clips in here because I really was thinking about this topic. I did a short where I basically spoke on Rumi Carter and how a lot of people, I mean, honestly, I feel like she is getting majority positive feedback. But there are a couple crack eggs that are spilling into the conversation that need to be addressed as well. A lot of adults are claiming to be doctors via TikTok and diagnosing Sister Girl with things that they don't even know about. And I just wanted to be clear about this. At the end of the day, it's really said that when it comes to black children, black children are always policed. They're always, looked at or made to be older than, even though they're physically the same age as other kids, doing the same things that other kids are doing around the same age. But when black kids do it, it's an issue. I have a couple videos in here. I'm going to save my thoughts and opinions for last. But as always, thanks for tuning in. Let's get into this topic. Give it up for Rippy, y'all. Lifting you up to be raised. Even though I know someday you'll shine on your own, I will be a projector. She is so innocent and pure and full of joy. And we were like that too. I had to come to the car, y'all. My good sis on here just said that Rumi is Beyonce's healed inner child, but she's every healed child of every black woman. And I'm fucked up now. Immediately resonated with me. Beyonce said on the opening night, "We have not slept," probably means her. When she says we, she probably means that she has not slept because she knew her baby girls were going to be on display and that Rumi was going to be on display. And all of her joy and all of her wild abandon and just lack of concern and awareness for how cruel the world is. When I see that baby on stage, I cry every time. Because one, I know how cruel people are, but two, I know that I was not allowed to be like that. And I didn't allow my child to be quite that way, right? Even though I was better at allowing her to be a child and not forcing her to shrink and not making her hug people she didn't want to fucking hug and not saying you gotta put on different clothes to be around a fucking perverted ass uncle. I know I did better. Sure, my mother did better than her mother did and so on and so forth. But to see a child who is so loved and safe that she can be on that stage and just be fully present in her body, a fully embodied child, not shrinking. And just when she said that, it tells me why I cry every time I see her videos. When I saw her in the back, what the fuck? When I saw her like kind of in the back of the
of the prop. She's getting ready to come around. She was so excited. She was like, okay, this is my moment. I'm ready. She is so innocent and pure and full of joy. And we were like that too. And I'm so happy that more of us are creating that experience for our girls on whatever level that we can. And that we are even going back in and re-loving, re-parenting in some cases, relearning to have that much freedom and joy for ourselves. All right, I'm gonna shut up because I don't even know anymore. But that fucked me up, and I had to I had to tell y'all because nobody else is gonna listen.
I'm going to preface this video, which I'm pretty sure will have and glaze right over the Beyonce fanatics' ears, and to say that I found the most intriguing part of Rumi being on stage with Beyonce was when she turned around and I could see the excitement in her face, you know, just the overwhelmingness, you know, and how she was just out there waving at people, and she seems like quite a personal little 7-year-old child. For me, and this is my opinion, and of course, again, I know that y'all aren't going to hear any of that because y'all don't want to think of things from, this comes from a place of love. This comes from a place of care. This comes from a place of being a survivor, to tell y'all that Rumi's breast enhanced above the mid-thigh dress was inappropriate for a 7-year-old little girl. I don't think that Rumi has started to form breasts yet, so why was her dress made in the fashion? Why was her bodice of her dress made and sculpted out to make it seem like she had, you know, booty and all of this, and then it was short, whether it had shorts under it or not? That's not the point. It was inappropriate, in my opinion, for a 7-year-old child. They can do what they want with their child. Another thing is that y'all stayed on and writing up under the comments, and
now that I'm a fully grown adult and I've been around children as a fully grown adult, I have yet to come across a child that I have beef with, because what was going on when we were growing up? Like, I vividly remember being like 11 and having arch nemesis who were 40-year-old women. Like, what do you mean you have beef with a child? Like, I used to have arch nemesis who were fully grown adults, and we would actively go back and forth with each other. And people knew about it. It was so normalized. That is spooky to think about. There's nothing a child can say to me to make me like have a personal vendetta against them. That's weird. That's arrested development. Y'all, I don't know, just some of these epiphanies I have as I get older, realizing how adults acted when I was younger. That was not normal and so inappropriate and loser behavior. Honestly, you're weird. If you're beefing with a child, it's your fault. 100%.
That girl in there is being so immature. She needs to be more respectful when I walk into the room and be taking a more active role in her health care. She's almost an adult. She cannot be acting like this. You mean her? She's only 11 and honestly is acting pretty typically for an 11-year-old. Well, she looks way older than 11. She needs to stop looking like she's 16.
Have you heard of adultification? Let's discuss. The National Library of Medicine says adultification is a term used to describe how Black children are viewed as older than they actually are. Let's use our positions of power to ensure that we protect and support Black children's innocence.
I love how this creator breaks down this topic. You should definitely watch the entire video. But I just want to take a few moments to dig a little deeper into this. I'm Carol Sutton Lewis from Ground Control Parenting, and this isn't just about expecting maturity too soon. Our children are being robbed of their childhood. Here's what we're seeing. Black girls labeled as grown or fast by age 5. Black boys viewed as threatening before their teens. Our children being disciplined more harshly. Their emotional needs ignored because they're seen as tough. Let me be clear. A mature vocabulary doesn't mean they're ready for adult conversations. Being tall doesn't mean they can handle adult responsibilities. Being smart doesn't mean they don't need emotional support. Looking older doesn't make them older. The research shows Black children experience depression at higher rates. They're more likely to face severe school discipline. They get less leeway to make normal childhood mistakes. Their mental health struggles often go unnoticed. Parents, we have to protect their right to be children. Let them play, allow them to make age-appropriate mistakes, shield them from adult conversations, and give them space to be vulnerable. Our children shouldn't have to carry adult burdens on their small shoulders.
Somebody said a child's first enemy is an unhealed parent. And it's so facts because all of those times growing up here when your parent wasn't up to you, it's because they had trauma. That's the only reason they were such a massive op is because of their emotional immaturity, their trauma, and the bullshit they had going on internally. If it wasn't for that, life would be somewhat softer, I like to believe. Do you know how much bullshit I endured just because they hadn't processed their pain because nobody told them how or gave them the tools to know how? Your first op, the one that will be like, oh, you'll never make it in this thing because they don't have the perspective to see that you could potentially be an amazing footballer, or they don't even pour love into any of your dreams, goals, aspirations outside of you have to go to school and do this thing. If you have African parents, you know what I'm saying? Like, there were a lot of the times they were our ops because they didn't have the emotional capacity to just listen, just hear something out, see a different point of view, have the range, have a discussion, negotiate, hear somebody out. Instead, it's my way or the highway. If you like, you can't die. Okay, maybe not that deep, but you know what I'm trying to say? And so a lot of the time, their emotional immaturity, their toxicity, the trauma they had going on, their unhealedness resulted in us having to battle them for just basic decency sometimes. So just bare minimum stuff. A lot of the time, we had to fight. So it's 100% real, that statement, that a child's first op is their parents.
A toxic parent treats his or her children in such a way as to make those children doubt their importance, their worth, and that they are deserving of love, approval, and validation. Toxic parents come in many shapes and sizes. Some are so obvious that they can be spotted from space through the eye of a needle. Breaking free from a toxic parent is hard. But hard has never meant impossible. Sometimes it means making the brave decision in strength and with the greatest self-love and self-respect to let go of the relationship that's been hurting you.
Sierra, let's go. Are you ready yet? We've been waiting on you for like 10 minutes. Oh, sorry. I didn't know that everybody was ready to go. No one told me. But yes, I'm ready. Oh, well, is that what you're wearing? Yeah, what's wrong with it? Do you not like it? Yeah, it's all right. It just makes your arms look a little fat, that's all. Maybe you should change it to something else. Oh, really? I didn't realize. Yeah, I'll change. Good, I think that's for the best. Okay, Mom, I'm ready now. We can go. Okay, let's go. You chose that out of everything in your closet? Yeah, I don't see what's wrong with it. Do you not like it? I just don't think green's really your color, but it'll do for now. We have to go, so it's fine.
What's something that was considered fast as a Black girl growing up for you?
Walking. One of the first things that was policed about me and my body was my walk. From the time I was young, adults would always tell me to stop switching, stop enticing people with my walk, stop being fast, stop trying to grab attention. Meanwhile, all I was a kid who happened to develop curves in my lower region early. Instead of teaching me about my body, instead of instilling self-love for my body, instead of regulating the adults around me, all of the adults around me over-sexualized me and made their issues my problem.
Older Black people have a problem with seeing kids as humans. Like when I was growing up, and I've seen this with older Black people, especially in the South, they had a problem with kids saying certain words. Like we couldn't say lie, liar, or fart growing up. Those were classified as adult words. I never understood that because they were just words. They're not cuss words. They're not like insulting anybody. If you was lying, you was lying. But they wanted you to say telling a story or fibbing, or instead of fart, you had to say I passed gas or I pooted. If you was lying and I saw you lying, that makes you a liar. You might have not liked it if I told you was lying. I didn't like for you to call them out on their bullshit anyway. But the fact that liar and fart was considered bad words growing up was weird. That literally never made sense to me.
So y'all know what I realized? It really do be your own family that instills that low vibrational, low self-esteem in you from the time that you're a child. It really does. This is my child's hair in its natural state. It's freaking gorgeous. I just had a family member tell her that she needs to put her hair up because it looks like a damn mess. And what I say to that is, they're hating. They must be hating, because how could you? Like, you're just mad. One thing I'm gonna tell y'all is y'all can only receive what y'all accept, and I refuse to accept that about me or my kids, or have that type of energy around me or my children, and that's on period.
Why do Black students get misunderstood in school? Let's talk about the perception that Black students are older than their age. Since we're on the topic, let's talk about adultification of young Black girls. Studies have shown that Black girls, specifically from the ages 5 through 19, are looked at as adults. Unfortunately, there is historical context to this that is brought all the way up into 2024. As stated in this article, the Jezebel, Mammy, and Sapphire stereotypes can definitely lead Black girls specifically down the school to prison pipeline. Kicked out of school, and overall it might be easier not to support them compared to their white peers. I'd love to know your thoughts and experience on this, and if you have any solutions on how we can mitigate this problem. Follow this account for more research and how we can be culture responsive in society.
Do y'all remember that meme that people were doing a little while ago where it was like, when I'm arguing with my man, but then I realize I'm arguing with this person and it's that person as a child? I experienced that today, but with my mom. I was in the kitchen eating my food, put my show on, really about to enjoy my alone time. And then my mom just started talking in my ear about God knows what. Like, you see I'm in my zone and you just interrupted me. And I low-key started to tune her out, but then she started stuttering. Like, she was like, and she started stuttering because she realized I wasn't listening. And it wasn't like a trying to get my attention. It was like her realizing that I wasn't listening, so she lost her train of thought. And in that moment, I put my iPad down and I listened to her, because then I realized she's also just a person who grew up alone a lot of the time as a kid and now has somebody around that can listen. So why not? Why would I not listen to her? Why would I not want to be there for someone I love? And that made me just really remember that, you know, a lot of people are just unhealed versions of them as a child. She grew up as an only child, so she didn't really have people around to like really just listen to her just talk about just stuff. So now she has me for that. And I was like, of course, I'm going to listen to you. I just wanted to say that because in little ways, things that we dealt with as a child will mirror in our adult lives. And it takes good people. I say good because everyone is going through their stuff and people are acting like other people aren't either. But by taking the time to sit down and notice and understand why somebody did what they just did, we can low-key fix one person at a time. So please be patient with people. Sometimes they're just healing. They're part of themselves. But that does not mean that you excuse certain shit that they do, because you have boundaries as well. Thank you.
My daughter is an improvement on my design. She's me. She was me when I was in my mother's womb. Mitochondrial gene. The way we trace who we are from person to person to person is through that mother's gene. And we are already here. When my mother was a child, I was already here inside of her. I am who she is. There's another opportunity to do those things and to raise her consciousness, vibration, or whatever you want to call it, through me. And when she acknowledges me as that, is when she grows. That is the parent's job. When you see in your child, that's me, and you treat it as that, and not competition or a job or a burden. when you see your child as you, that's when the parent grows.
Okay, so first I just wanted to say excitement is not a disorder. As I stated before, earlier in the video, whenever black children, are free spirited, are expressive, are, just children acting their age, here comes the control police. And honestly, I really do believe that it's a deep seated issue with a lot of adults projecting, and a lot of unhealed adults with inner childhood wounds that have not healed. I mean, honestly, they may be unaware of this inner childhood wound as well. That's why it's not healed. But a lot of it is jealousy, because a lot of adults, especially in the black community, weren't able to have childhoods, weren't able to be free spirited kids, weren't able to be, able to run wild, and to have parents that made room for them and made space for them to be those children that they see nowadays that they deem to be wild and reckless, when in reality they're just kids. It's almost as if when they see these free spirited children like Rumi being allowed and able to just be themselves, it resurfaces pain that was buried within themselves that they don't even want to address. So they deem they're just keeping it real and giving criticism, when in reality you're being harsh, you're being judgmental to a child. So instead of seeing children just being free and innocent, they see these children as being disrespectful. They see children that are curious as being nosy, as being problematic. And to be honest, as a mom myself, I have even had to work on this as well, because when I was growing up, especially being raised in the church, Kojic, it was certain ways we had to be, certain ways we had to present ourselves. And even as a child, during that time, I remember being labeled as rebellious because I had questions, and I wasn't just blindly just going with what was being told. I wanted to know why. And honestly, I'm thankful that my mom wasn't the type of mom to shame me and just correct, like tell me to get in line. She allowed space for me to question the pastor, who was my godfather, to be curious. She, at a time when she joined the church, she was at 9. She was indoctrinated into the church. Whereas like now, her oldest daughter comes out this wild child with questions that need to be answered on time. I feel like a lot of people don't realize, when you want children to be quiet and to be seen and not heard and to just be control robots, what you're doing is creating more victims to a world that's already chaotic, that's already looking for supply. When you want your children to just follow the rules and just listen, and when they have a question, it's like the end of the world. I want my child to ask me questions, because that means their brain is working. That means I'm doing something right. There's a difference between obviously being disrespectful, but also just being curious. And a lot of times, what we deem as being disrespectful is just a child just wanting to know what's going on. And if you're taking away their right to know what's going on, you can't be mad later on, years down the line, when they become followers, when they just go with the flow and they don't think to question, because at young ages they were taught to question nothing. That to me is unproductive, and it's not good to teach your children, or to allow your children to just have no thought, to have no sense to question, to just go with the flow. As a parent, you are your child's first teacher, and not just as a parent, but even as an aunt, as an uncle, as the older siblings, cousins. You are the child's first school before they get into the world. So do you want to teach your child to be a follower, or do you want to encourage them to be leaders? So that's why I said a lot of times it is jealousy, because a lot of adults weren't able to be free. They were silenced, they were shamed, they were policed. And a lot of adults, whether knowingly or unknowingly, they don't realize that they're projecting this same bad upbringing onto other children, whether they be theirs or someone else's. Because what a lot of people don't want to do is do the work to be better. And you're supposed to get better as you get older. That's why I love the video where Erykah Badu spoke about her daughter being a new improved design. You should view your children as the new the new and improve design of you. With each generation, it's supposed to get better. It's supposed to get wiser. It shouldn't just be the same stagnation, hateful policing, and insecurity being given to children. And then we wonder why the world is the way it is today. We wonder why the future is the way it is today. And a lot of times the older generation loves, and I feel like this is what every generation, because as a millennial, it happened to older generations before when we hit the scene. A lot of older generations like to look down on the younger generations and say things as if they're the worst, and why is the young generation like this, as if we don't play a part into why the younger generation is the way they are, as if we didn't help raise the younger generation, whether you were in the household or not. Because like they say, nature versus nurture. You might not have raised these children physically, but these children grew up watching all of us, whether we were in their home around them or not, whether you was in the store. Children are sponges. They absorb everything. So we definitely play a part into how the younger generation responds. And another important fact is, this is why a lot of children end up misdiagnosed, because you have people who look at their children. You have a lot of parents who even look at their own children. If they see that their children are acting a certain way, or if their children are acting how the oldest was acting, or how they deem their child should be acting, they automatically want to jump to, oh, this child must be this, or this child must be that, this child must have this or have that. And whole time, that's probably just a child personality. Everybody is not stoic and just mute. You have children who are, just bubbly, just exciting, just fidgety, and they don't have, and that, it doesn't mean that they have autism or something like that. Now, granted, if they do, God bless the child. Regardless, it's not anything to be looked down upon, but at the same time, it's not necessary to just always feel the need to diagnose a child because they seem to be different than, because they don't even have to be different than their older sibling, but just because that child is different than you. I remember being getting my own child from daycare at one point, and at the time he wasn't as talkative as other kids, but mind you, at home that boy can talk up a storm. And I remember his teacher saying to me, she had suggested that I look into speech language pathology, because she was like, he doesn't talk as much in class and and she thought that he probably had an issue. And at one point she even was like, suggesting all types of things to look into, because he doesn't. So I did my due diligence. I got him an appointment set up for a speech language pathologist, and I also moved him to a different daycare because my child actually started telling me he was being mistreated in that classroom. Listen to your kids. So I moved him and I got the speech language pathologist. And when that speech language pathologist, she observed him in the classroom, and she wrote me this long 5-page evaluation. Here, she did not recommend that he needed any type of therapy. She said he's actually advanced. She said, I watched him. I sat in the class with him. He actually does communicate well for his age. She said he knows how to express himself. He was able to let a classmate know he was playing with this. He's not ready to give it up yet. And how he was basically on the task. And she was just saying she doesn't see any recommendation for him needing speech language pathology. His language is appropriate for his age. And what it comes down to is, all kids are not the same. Yeah, you might have a couple kids that want to talk your head off or that feel comfortable talking in classrooms. You have other kids that don't feel like talking, especially if they don't know you like that. Each child is different. So, this is the video that I wanted to do. I thought it was really important because with everything surrounding Rumi Carter coming out and people trying to diagnose her as if they are doctors that they are not, I feel like it's important, again, to note that excitement does not mean a disorder. Just because a child might be different than doesn't mean something is wrong with them. And a lot of adults need to check their own projections and get in touch with that inner child. Heal those inner child wounds so you won't be putting that on other people's kids. As always, thanks for tuning in. I'll catch y'all with the next video.